Hello, my people. Welcome to the Kody Brown interview that was filmed during season 19. So it's going to give us an amazing perspective on kind of the back channels, what was going on in his head while filming. This interview means oh so much more now than it did back then, which is why we're reviewing it. This is going to be a 2-night event. We're going to do about an hour of the interview today. We're going to do another hour tomorrow. So make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you watch the second part with all of us tomorrow. And we, the people, we have questions. So I will be trying to check chat. If he says anything that seems a little bit shady as we go on, we're checking him tonight. So just make sure that your ears are open and your brain is ready to go. Okay. So this is really the interesting part. Okay. This interview took place November 1st, 2023. So to put things really into perspective, this was a few weeks after Christine got married because Christine was married on October 7th, 2023. So this is what? Oh my gosh, like less than a month later. So like 3 weeks after Christine's wedding, this is this man right here. Pretty much acting like he's unbothered, which we know he is. Also right around this time was the snow fight with Robin and Kody, with him arguing about his children and Robin begging him to have a relationship with his children. And this was before he helped Mary move away, and the whole like her bumping and grinding into him and Robin crying and boohooing that she's leaving. It was all before this. Okay. And also during this time, he was still trying to reconcile with Janelle, and Janelle wasn't having any of it. So let's hear what this man actually, let me take that back. Let's hear what Robin's husband has to say about it. Oh my gosh, Megan, I wonder who did that. I wonder who did that. Thank you, Sarah K, for the super chat. Sarah K said, we've received our goal of over 30. Get out of here before we started. You guys are amazing. 30 thumbs up before we started. That's actually pretty epic. Thank you so very much. We're off to a good start. So, everyone else, if you could like the video for us doing this, part one tonight, part two, is that Friday night? We're going to have a Friday night event. So, thank you, Sarah. That is so sweet. I appreciate it. And yes, please like the video. What like number are you? All right, let's get this thing going. Are you guys ready? This is going to be so fascinating seeing this from now because we know what's going on in season 19. Well, at least half of it, right? We're waiting for the other half in spring. Okay, let's do this.
I've had the chance to rub elbows with you, and just grateful for the chance to get to know you and for our audience to get to know you better. So super excited to, oops, I think he bumped a button again. Ooh. Here we go.
Oh,
there we go. Let's try that.
See that?
Yeah, we did.
Oh yeah. Bill, my daughter worked for you. She considered you her direct manager when she worked years ago. And she had a pleasant experience with you. So
I love it.
Compliments to you.
Yeah, I want to start off, Kody, just talking a little bit about, you're a reality, you're on a reality TV show, and I can't imagine putting your personal life up in front of cameras. And so, when you guys are filming, you're just living your life, and the cameras are following you around and filming you. Maybe talk for a moment about how difficult it is to have you and your family in front of cameras, and how that plays out, what that does to a group of folks, good and bad, I'm sure.
Well, the desired effect almost happened. And to be fair, it actually did happen. So, holy cow. In 2007, the story starts out like this. I stepped on a stage in a demo reel for a talk show in New York City with my seven oldest children and 3 wives that I had at that time. And I just felt like there was an experience when I stepped on that stage to basically tell people about my life. It was as simple as this. I felt a sort of a sense of a calling. I felt like, in absolute terms, this is what I'm supposed to do. It was a weird experience because I didn't know. And 2 years later, I found myself in a reality show. And when I was trying to work to those ends with my family, I thought, had agreed as a family, and I believe this still, that we had agreed as a family, even our kids, that in order to get a fair shake as a polygamist family, we would have to allow people into our homes. We met a documentary filmmaker. He said he wanted to do a documentary, and I said, no way, man. If you can't farm us out to a network where we're going to be, every Wednesday night on television, we ended up being in Sunday night, which is their big night. If we can't be there every night, let those people into our home and see us in our real and raw way, we'll never get their trust. My goal from the beginning was to free Mormon fundamentalists or polygamists in general to be able to live their lifestyle without the government or social ostracization or rejection or affecting their lives. And it was a long time. There were other people involved, other people who helped us along this trail, other people who I think did as much as we did, just not as publicly. Maybe there were people out there who did.
Okay, quick question. We the people have questions. You know what's going to be very interesting is when Christine writes her tell-all, which is going to go way to the beginning. So obviously she's going to be discussing the creation of the show, right? What happened before, what happened during. We're going to have to come back to this and see how much her story lines up with Kody. Because if I had to take a poll of whose story is going to be more believable, Christine's or Robin's husband, I'm pretty sure I know which would be picked in like the 99.9 percentile. I'm just saying. So we're probably going to be going back to this towards the end of the year. I'm just saying. Okay, let's continue.
More than we did. And eventually, for the state of Utah, polygamy was decriminalized, which was our goal, our partial goal. I actually had a desire that the polygamy would eventually be legalized. And years ago, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I started talking about legitimacy. I had a feeling that if a plural wife had legal rights to her husband the same way that a first wife did in marriage and stuff like that, that it would kind of clean up some of the messes that were being created in some of the sects with underage marriage, or even with some of the problems that they had. And that was probably a naive place. There's a very common statement in Mormon fundamentalism. When I was young, I had a lot of theories and no experience. Now that I'm old, I have no theories and a lot of experience.
Yeah.
And so we accomplished part of the goal by decriminalizing plural marriage in Utah and kind of making it okay for fundamentalist Mormons or people in plural marriage to live more openly in that lifestyle. And that was our goal.
But in the process of that, you're putting your conflict. Anytime, again, I have arguments with my wife, I have arguments with my children. You put your conflict in front of the cameras, you put your embarrassing moments in front of the camera, you put the moments that you regret in front of the camera, like I wish I wouldn't have behaved this way, or I wish I wouldn't have said that. Like, how hard is it to do that in front of cameras where millions of people are watching?
In the beginning, I was a little bit, I had a smile on my face and was goofing off a lot. I was just trying to have fun with my family.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Hold on. Okay. Like I said, we the people have questions. This is such a good one. Mary said, so he's talking and taking Janelle's ideas that the women have fair access to assets, and he steals from the OG3. If what TLC is showing is correct, which I don't see why it wouldn't be, yeah, that's ridiculous. And doesn't that happen? I think that's about to happen like 3 or 4 months from this point. From this point in history, I guess is the best way to say it. That's interesting. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
eventually you have to just get serious about what's happening and the struggle that's happening. And certainly reality TV doesn't work if it's all Pollyanna. And it boiled down to where there was a lot of conflict. And then it eventually became a point where what we're portraying on the show is almost perpetually conflict. Conflict is the essence of literature. If you don't have, I think I learned in literature, English lit, that it was conflict between man and conflict between nature. Those are your two conflicts, whatever. And our conflict between man versus man, was necessary, or it was in the beginning. It was man versus society. Like our family was sort of taking on society, asking, begging, please, would you please give us recognition or at least acceptance, and then and tolerance. But then eventually the conflict became the conflict between us, and that makes great television.
It had to be hard,
But
though.
it's hard on my heart. The experience altogether has been heartbreaking, very, very challenging.
Kody, what was it that happened last week that came to your mind when Bill asked you that question?
Tell me again, the last week when you say that question.
Bill had mentioned
Remind
something
me.
about how are there ever any times where it's got to be hard, when you're doing all these things and embarrassing things you wish you hadn't said or done in front of the camera. And then you said just last week.
Oh yeah. Oh no, last week. Not. Sorry, I thought you meant when I was talking with Bill. No, just like every time I work, I'm in front of a camera, and and it'd be like once and twice in an episode I'd do something I felt like was a little embarrassing. Sometimes it was quaint and cute even, or whatever, but then it got to the point where I was doing something embarrassing that I was totally ashamed of.
Wait. Okay, wait a second. Maybe I missed it. What cute things has he done? What is he what? Kody, what are you talking about? What cute things have you done? And is he talking about chat, help me out because now I'm a little confused. Is he talking about the entirety of the show and he's kind of giving a synopsis, or is he talking about like this season currently? Let me know because I'm a little bit lost. Regardless, it doesn't even matter if he's talking about the history of the show, that he used to do cute things and it progressed and now he's embarrassed. Regardless, I don't care if we're talking about season 1. You never did anything cute. What are you talking about? I'm super. Whoa. Bruno, you okay? My dog almost just fell. I don't know what that's about. Please, can you enlighten me? What? He has a misconception about himself? Okay, wait. I need to put my dog down before he kills himself. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry. I am so sorry. Okay, the history of the show. Can you guys put in chat what cute things he ever did? What is he Can we chap that back for I'm so confused. What? That kind of got me. You did cute things. What are you talking about, Kody?
And it'd be like once and twice in an episode I'd do something I felt like was a little embarrassing. Sometimes it was quaint and cute even, or whatever, but then it got to the point where I was doing something embarrassing that I was totally ashamed of. I'm still a man of faith.
Can I just say you should be embarrassed with every episode that you're in, Kody, your behavior, the way you act, the way that you gaslight the audience, but also gaslight your family, lie, um, are a complete a-hole to everyone but Robin. Like you should be embarrassed every single episode. Can we just make that clear? Yes, true, Lorianne. He does have a high opinion of himself. That is ridiculous. No, he's fine. He's fine. He almost just jumped off the ledge. I had to grab him, but he is good. No crisis averted. So we're good. All right, let's keep going.
And so my prayers recently have been for Heavenly Father to help me stop doing things that I feel shame about. Because my habit, and the reason I think I've had a successful TV show, is because the habit of the family has been to be frank and honest. And we cross lines. And so It's like if I don't like something, there's a tendency for me to almost feel like I've got Tourette's, where I'll say something that's just out of line because it triggers me. And frankly, I'm pretty sure this is my rationalization, is it probably makes good television, but it's actually heartbreaking. And whether I'm lashing out at the question of a fan, or I'm lashing out at the behavior or um, interpreted behavior of a family member, or whether if I watch an episode, when our first 5 years, I watched the episodes with a smile on my face, even if I did something embarrassing. Now I, I almost cannot bear to watch the episodes without getting physically ill, and so it's become overall a very sad experience.
Okay, that's actually enlightening hearing it now, listening to that perspective. So I can't even think. We're so backlogged. So when he was watching this in, let me just get the date back. When he was watching this, or I'm sorry, let me take that back. When he had this interview, November 1st, 2023, I don't even remember what season we were watching, but I think it was 2 seasons back, and it sounds like he's been watching some of these most recent episodes during this time. So that's weird to know. Just think about this behind the scenes. So as we're watching season 19, right? He was watching probably season 17 or 18 with us during that time. So imagine watching that and you're still what, like a year and a half behind on the show. And then you have to go do confessionals and you're probably pissed off about what Christine said or what Mary said or Janelle said. And you're shocked about the confessions that they're giving. And he's probably lashing out now. The fact that he's physically ill watching these episodes, I wouldn't be surprised if some of his rage that we've seen from the couch confessionals is about that. Isn't that kind of enlightening? That is so interesting. Okay. That is true. A leader doesn't have to announce he's a leader. Agreed. All right. So anyway, I thought that that was really interesting. Let's keep going.
Kody, you've been living all this out for, I think, 14 years now in public with you, your family, your wives, your children. Is there anything that's happened with your relationships with any of your family that has been caused or exacerbated, you think, by the presence of the film crew that might otherwise not have been so bad?
I wouldn't say the presence. Well, yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with our producer, and he has a great talent for antagonizing me, almost like a brother, you know. And we had years where we were just deeply loyal to each other, but we would fight like family members. And there was the effect of that because he was under pressure. He was under a lot of pressure, and as a result, that pressure would roll down onto me. And so he'd be like, I need your family to do this. I need your family to do that. And I was like, this isn't scripted. My family's just going to do whatever we want. Those were challenging experiences. But in the long run, the real issue was that we were having an experience. Let's say me and a wife would have an experience, or even me and one of my kids would have an experience that's being filmed, and then we'd have to talk about it later, and then we'd have to talk about it again, and then again, and then it'd be used as either potentially a rerun or a flashback or something like that. And something that you would probably forget was said and that happened was in your face 4 or 5 times and put it into your memory. And as a result, led to possibly some challenges. And so in the end, uh, you know, there's been a lot that has happened, and some of it has been successful and some of it has been very, very sad. And I lay the blame, you know, sorry, I don't want to go down this road. The wise man, the fool.
As a marketing consultant, staying close to my clients is a huge part of the job. That's why
Fool blames everybody else. The wise man blames himself. And the stoic, what happened? The stoic there's been a lot that has happened, and some of it has been successful, and some of it has been very, very sad. And I lay the blame, you know, sorry, I don't want to go down this road. The wise man, the fool blames everybody else. The wise man blames himself, and the stoic says there's nothing to blame. It just is what happened.
Mm.
And I want to be stoic, but there's a lot of blame to be laid at my own feet about what has happened. And I think it's just a natural course of events. And where I thought we were doing so much benefit for plural marriage, we may have, in the end, done harm.
In what way?
Well, I don't want to go into any spoilers, but the lifestyle we have. My sister once told me, she's never been on the show. She is in plural marriage, and she told me once in the beginning, she said, "You know, the problem with your show is, Kody, is you make it look easy, and it's not." Well, it doesn't look easy now.
Yeah, that was in the beginning, right?
Yeah, it was.
For those in our audience who don't know your current situation, would you mind explaining it to everybody?
If they're watching the season now, which we are currently airing Sunday nights, I apologize, on TLC at the wrong, I don't know the time because it depends on your cable network. But Sunday nights on TLC, we are airing, and the experience is very dramatic. And the family is not functioning together any longer. Not the whole family. So we have segmented or split stories.
Yeah.
And so I film, or you'll see me talk with the wife, and it's kind of about our breakup, and this has been ongoing. So I'm not giving any spoilers, but I'd rather let's get back to where we're not doing spoilers, or even
Totally.
I don't want to walk that thin line about
Totally.
spoilers. I have a job to do.
Yep. So
Okay, so I'm assuming that what he's talking about is he must have already had the conversation with Mary saying, "Hey, we're done." But at this point, it's got to be that. I mean, Janelle and Kody aren't talking. True. But remember, we just found out in the last episode, and I think we're in like April or something of 2024. So this is already like 4 months. What we're watching right now is like 4 months after his interview here. And even then, he's shocked that Janelle moved to North Carolina. And he was always thinking that they would reconcile. So I'm assuming that what he's more so talking about, yes, him and Janelle have fought so many times in years past, but I don't think he's believing at this point that it's over with Janelle. That's my guess. We'll see as it keeps going. Sarah, what family, right? Okay.
you've been on for 18 seasons. RFM pointed out 14 years. That's a long time. It's a long spot of life to be on TV and to do a show. I mean, it's longer lasting than 99% of the TV shows that have ever aired on television, right?
How long was MASH on television? It was my
I have
favorite show.
I have no idea.
I think it was less than yours.
Yeah.
I think it was
10
maybe
years.
10, 11 possibly.
Maybe I
Yeah,
don't know. Yeah, it's a long time, but there's just this thing, that this factor that is in it, is we were in a very dramatic family. It's I'm a very dramatic person. I have other dramatic family members, had other dramatic family members, and I think that it just sometimes it.
Wait, had other dramatic family members. Is that a subtle dig at Mary and or Christine or both? He said, he has dramatic family members, and then he corrected it and said he had. Who the hell is he talking about? What dramatic family members? He has never on the show described any of his wives as dramatic, not that I can think of. Let me know. What do you guys think? What do you think? I don't even know what that means. Dramatic. If there's one person that's dramatic, Kody, that would be you. You have enough drama for all 4 women. What are you talking about? You think it's Mary, Leah? It's definitely not Janelle. But the thing is, I think he still thinks Janelle is part of his family. Robin, yeah, but Robin's part of his family. He's making it seem like it's past tense, that they're no longer in his family. Okay, the princess. Actually, he probably does have Christine on the brain because at this point, she had just gotten married to David 3 weeks ago. To add insult to injury. Oh, he's calling out Christine, 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 Christine. Okay, there. Consensus is already there. Okay, done. Christine. Wow, he's even being shady here, huh? Now that we know, see, we didn't even know what that meant before. And now doesn't it kind of make sense? Yes, it
was interesting and sometimes it wasn't. And then we had people who just tuned in because they thought it was fun to watch. And I just had a contractor at my house talking about doing some repair work on my electricity that has been gotten funny. And he watches the show. And I'm like, oh gosh. He says, I know you though, so I'm not holding any grudges. But on the other hand, I had one of my close friends text me. She was a close friend that I worked with when we lived in Utah, and she texted me and she sends me a book, and at the bottom of the book she says, "Get your shit together." So can I say that word on this
Yeah,
show?
you say anything
Anyway,
you want.
oh, I can. Well, I'll be careful.
Yeah,
Anyway,
good.
and I'm like, I have to text back to her like very patiently to say, you're seeing a portion, a teeny segment of my life, and you're usually seeing the most dramatic points. And I made the mistake once when my family was going through a partial breakup of yelling at or not yelling, but I saying to my wife, well, I'm bringing back patriarchy. I'm going to be in charge and you guys are going to do what I say. And I have a sister who's LDS. And it was the one scene in all 13 years of me being public, one scene that she saw. And at Christmas time, we were visiting and she was chastising me for saying that. And I had to stand up and pace the room so I wouldn't lose it. That she had been not loyal enough to ever check into the show, but then she chastises me for the one worst day of my life. And that's kind of one of the hard things about it is people are going to.
Sorry. Okay, that's really interesting. Hold on a second. I guess looking back at this, I mean, I'm sure we talked about it before because we knew what he was talking about, but I forgot this. He's saying that Christine sitting down with all of the sister wives and saying that she's leaving Kody is the worst day of his life. Does that I'm sorry. For someone who said that they don't care about Christine, that they could care less that they could not care less that she getting in a not annulment, what is it called? A release from the church, that he's happy that she's gone. Really? Really? This seems like someone that's reminiscing about a spouse that just got married 3 weeks ago. I don't know. I mean, I know that you guys get pissed at me when I say that Kody loved one of his wives. Like I said, it's like Cody's version of love, but I don't care. Like I think that if Christine secretly, I don't know, was like, "Hey, I will come back." I think you know how we talk all the time about Mary? Like if Kody called her and was like, "Hey, I love you and come back." I feel like if Christine wanted to come back to Kody, I think he would take her in a heartbeat. I mean, I do. I really do. But let me see what you guys are saying. Isn't that interesting? Let's see. Oh, sister said he sure has a lot of worst day of my life days. Oh, really? That's funny. He said that more than once or implied it anyway. Okay. All right. Let's see. I think so too. Mary said Christine told him in the office she was leaving, and he was more shocked when she was moved out. Kody loved Christine. Yeah, I think there was still a small glimmer of hope that she was still playing a game because he always called her bluff. Always. So interesting. That was the worst day. He said not one of the. He said the worst day of his life. Christine leaving. That's interesting. And that's while he's filming season 19, like where we are now, maybe a few months back, when he makes it seem like he could care less about he could not care less about Christine, you know? Wow. Okay, wait. Someone said that's right, Nicole. Now I need to see what Nicole said. The sister who's still at LES. I thought the Wynn family got the boot and was shunned by the town. Oh, interesting. I don't know anything about the Wynn family. Okay. Plus, true. Okay, I am totally talking about a hypothetical. Christine would never go back. The woman has nightmares about this man. Okay. Currently, during like as of real time with this interview, she has nightmares of the man. So yeah, no, she's not ever going back. I was just saying like hypothetically, you know? All right.
See you and judge you in many cases by the worst day of your life. And if it keeps people sober about plural marriage and polygamy, good. Because I do not want this to look easy, because it's not. And people who have very, very powerfully convicted faith are the only people who should do this. And I'm telling you,
Thank you, Michelle.
the end result of where we're at now with this struggle in plural marriage is the real reality of the struggle in plural marriage. And we weren't strong enough to manage it. That sacred, you guys have heard the book, Sacred Loneliness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, sacred loneliness is a real thing. And there's a point where you might lose enough faith to go, I don't want to spend the rest of my life in this kind of pain. And if God cannot manifest to me that this is the best thing for me, then I want out, because it's that hard.
I do wonder. Oh, go ahead, RFM.
I was just going to say, what is it that has caused the pain for you? And are you saying that you feel like you've experienced personally the sacred loneliness that causes so much pain?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that they asked that question because I'm getting livid right now. You know what Cody's doing right now that's pissing me off? He's like describing what childbirth feels like. You don't know what it feels like. So stop acting like you're the expert. Same with sacred loneliness. You don't know jack, dude, about sacred loneliness. You can saunter around to 4 different houses, have 4 different lives if you want, ignore whoever the hell you want. You've never experienced sacred loneliness. So stop acting like you guys. When I press play, he better not, because I don't remember this. He better not go there. He better give his wives grace, or I'm about to lose it. Let's listen.
Well, listen, I'm not going to claim that I suffered the sacred loneliness. The Sacred Loneliness is a book referring to women in the 1800s who lived plural
Oh,
marriage.
thank goodness.
And there's some journal, I think it's Parley P. Pratt's wife is Pace, or no. Yeah, I think I don't have all my facts straight. I apologize.
You're the polygamy expert here.
No, I am not. See, so you guys in your research gets more information about polygamy. I'm only an experienced polygamist who has no theories any longer. Probably P. Pratt's had a wife who was, I think he was out on a honeymoon or something, and she's pacing and writing in this journal about this destructive heartbreak. And there came a point where one of my wives,
Oh my gosh. I know, chat, that you just picked up what I picked up. Remember how we were just talking about Kody is not over Christine? Holy hell. Okay. as I've said like a million times, but I'm still gonna say it. Christine just got married 3 weeks ago. Kody is starting to tear up talking about sacred loneliness. He is talking about Christine right now. You know, the funny part is he could care less. He could not. Why do I keep saying that? He doesn't give a damn about Mary. He's not tearing up about Mary. And she probably had even worse sacred loneliness than Christine did. This man is getting choked up about Christine. And okay, the craziest part though. Here's the craziest part. This is during the filming of season 19 that we're watching right now. Wouldn't you say that at least in the confessionals for season 19, Kody seems very flippant about Christine? Yeah, I wish her well. She should have love. Blah blah blah. I don't really care. This man's crying, reflecting on Christine's loneliness. And the crazy part is, I'm pretty sure we're going to have to do research on this. Him talking about that he gets sick over watching the show. I think during this time, what was currently on TLC that he's watching is Christine's explanation, moving his stuff out, leaving, right? Oh my goodness. This is insane to see this back. Wow, indeed. This is absurd. I told you that we needed to watch this again. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's keep going. This is insane.
I wanted to put all my wives in one home, and we had a big design done. It cost me thousands of dollars to have this design done. Beautiful home, 16,000 square feet, I think. And I don't remember all the details, but I had a wife who said, "There's no way I'm ever going to live in that home as this family." And it sort of broke down plural marriage for me. And so there's kind of a couple of theories. Plural marriage, the plague barn theory, I think in there's a little town south of St. George. Uh,
Okay, this is a really good point. Hold on. Yes, Cowgirl on Chrome. He did waste thousands, but he wasted the wives' thousands. Remember, it's pretty much not his anyway, so I don't know what he's complaining about.
and it's got a home of, forgotten more Mormon history than most Mormons will ever know. Um, and he had 4 wives in one home. Bill,
Is it down in Ivins, maybe like William Hamlin, the William Hamlin
yes,
home?
yes, the William Hamlin home, and he, and he had wives in that home, and that's the plural marriage I wanted, where if I come home from work, I see all my children every night, unless I'm out of town or gone on a trip with a wife and her children or something. And I think plural marriage is much easier for women when they don't see their husband around that other woman so much, where they got 4 homes, maybe a mile apart from each other, rather than 4 homes in front of each other or one home. And when I did this design of the one home and I presented it to my family, I had a wife reject that. And I started to dig into why. And I realized that in some ways my family was in the way of my goals in plural marriage. And I got kind of I got dark and cynical, because I discovered that I was never going to be able to live plural marriage the way I wanted to live it. And I stopped believing that they were happy. My wives were happy in plural marriage. Now, I'd had family counselors and therapists who sit down with me and say, "Hey, listen, your family's not going to be happier out of this family, or your wives won't be happier out of this family than they are in it." But I began to not believe that either. So the family counselor, who's a contemporary monogamist, was saying, your family will not be, or your wives will not be happier outside of this marriage than they are in it, which was good to know, but I didn't believe it. And so
I'm having trouble believing it too. Because it sounds like what you're saying is that this counselor is saying that your wives will be as happy in a plural marriage relationship as
in
they
the
would
family
be
that we had
outside
built
of it.
together, she is saying, so just to clarify, she was saying that my wives would be as happy as they can be in the plural marriage that we had built as a family than they would be outside of it. In other words, if I was questioning the fairness of plural marriage. Obviously, it seems there's a dichotomy of contradictions in plural marriage, and you have to be able to endure those contradictions. And I found myself a little bit cynical, unable to endure those contradictions anymore, because I had a wife that was extremely unhappy, and I had another wife that I wasn't in love with, and so that was making us in the marriage extremely unhappy.
Wait a second. Okay. Oh, wait. Isn't okay. Once again, I feel like there's some new revelations here, because he's basically tacitly admitting through our deduction, right? That this is what I'm hearing, chat. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time I'm hearing this, that he's basically saying he never said he wasn't in love with Christine. He's saying one wife that was extremely unhappy, that's Christine, and another wife that he didn't love. Obviously, that's Mary. So what that's telling me is that he was still in love with Christine. am I missing something? 2 plus 2 is looking like 4 to me. Okay, wait. Gabrielle said, I'm confused by what the counselor is saying. My interpretation, and I'm glad we're doing this as a group, is I think what Nancy, it sounds like it was Nancy. And this is what's interesting too. This is like the first that I'm remembering that we're getting the backstory on anything that Nancy said. Was that, hold on, I'm trying to check. Come this way. Come. Oh my gosh, my dog is acting so weird. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. Where was I? Oh, okay, so with Nancy, okay, you're confused by what the counselor is saying. So I think what Nancy is saying is that obviously he brought up the situation that his wives were not happy. He obviously brought up the one house, the one home idea with Nancy. That was bothering him. He said that he really dug deep into why his family couldn't be together. And what Nancy was telling him is, you don't have to worry, because this basically isn't about polygamy. It's about relationships, regardless of being in a polygamous relationship or a monogamous relationship. Your wives still possibly either would still have the same feelings, happy, not happy. It's not, I think overall it's more so about, it's not you, it's like it's the relationship. That's what that's my shoe said. Nancy sucked at her job. She was the Sookie of therapists. Damn, that is so harsh. What is interesting is, remember that binder that is like basically 7 Encyclopedia Britannicas put together, which was the binder for Kody and Mary? Yeah, that was interesting. Okay, let me see what did you guys summarize it better than I did? I want to hear what you guys have to say. What do you think he was saying about Nancy? Once again, this is speaking Kody. So I try my best, but I'm not fluent. Let's see what else. Leah said he never understood anything. I'm sure he didn't understand the counselor's points and insight either. Gosh dang. Oh, that's funny. That is shady. Okay, truth to oneself said Nancy is telling Kody how the women are feeling and thinking. Okay. Okay, so I guess no one else has another answer. Okay, let's keep going.
It's a tough place to be, and if you believe the Pearl of Great Price, where it says, when I saw the noble and great ones, and there are many of them, and as long as there was one energy, there was another entity that was more powerful than them, or greater is the word used in the Pearl of Great Price. And so there's just this, there's a challenge that you cannot relax in, that says you have to be better all the time, better and better and better. And I think that's really been detrimental to a lot of people who are LDS in any way, is this, I have to be perfect. If I have to be perfect, then why did the Savior suffer on the cross? He was perfect. I don't have to be. But in Mormonism, there's all this pressure to be perfect. And even Jesus says it, be ye therefore perfect, even as I and your heavenly Father are perfect.
Matthew
Contradiction.
5:48.
Yeah. I want to ask a couple questions about polygamy, and I'm really speaking generally. I don't need you to get into the specifics necessarily of your family dynamic, but it occurs to me that, like, in your situation where you live like on a cul-de-sac and you've got all of your family there, it seems to me that as one husband is splitting his time among multiple wives, that inevitably what I think would happen, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I think would happen is that those women would perceive that they get a limited amount of time with you, that they have to put on their best face. They don't want to be overly critical. They can't. They don't want to be the wife that nags. They don't want to be the wife that's looked at by everyone as being the one who's causing any sort of trouble. So they will feel a lot of pressure to put on the best appearance for the day that they've got you, and in their communication with the rest of the family. And I imagine that the husband, and no knock on any of you guys, like, this religious system commands you to do this, and you did it. But the other side of it is that for the man who is getting his time split up among all of these women, it seems as though there is some room to maybe not, at least especially as you said, like in the early parts, not be criticized. You almost get the best version, the happiest version of each of these women. And I'm just curious, like,
No.
how that dynamic plays out.
It just doesn't work. They sooner or later they're going to explode. Everybody gets in a bad place, and ironically, there's a woman who shares her husband has given so much that in the path to perfection, sometimes she might feel like that's enough. I felt like I was constantly doing this dance where I was like, hey, are you okay? Are you happy? I want you to be happy. I'm just trying to make everybody happy all the time. And it's kind of like running around all the time trying to keep everybody happy. And that was my job. And their job wasn't to keep me happy, even though, as a smart woman, that's going to work better for you. But they felt like they had given enough. And so there was always, I don't remember a time where I don't remember a very long time when all of my wives seemed like they were happy at the same time. Somebody was always off. And out of the 5 of us, somebody was always off, me or one of my wives. Sometimes 2 were off. Sometimes we were all a little off, but seldom were we all doing fantastic. And it was a big deal. This big family picture, I think, gave us all a lot of the sense of accomplishment. We felt special. We worked together to be special, but there were always undertones of a struggle that was really hard. And so I understand it. And this is why I struggle with my religion. I sometimes, my brothers have a podcast they do, and they call our church Cult Light because there's just no way that you feel like that this is healthy sometimes. And the requirement almost feels like beyond what people can accomplish. Now, that's me in it, having struggled so much. It's hard to look at polygamy and see people that are happy. It really is.
Yeah, I think that's the crux of it, is that it's a really hard lifestyle to live, and that it's really difficult on everyone, to the effect that it is a sacred loneliness if you believe in it.
If you believe it by faith, I had a friend one time when I was complaining about the struggles, this disparity in polygamy, and I'm like, listen, this disparity in fairness in plural marriage is just too much. And he said, no. He's a former polygamist, and he would be still if he hadn't had a wife leave. He said, there is no disparity in fairness if there's not a disparity in choice. In other words, if that woman can choose to be in your family or out of your family, then there's no disparity. She chooses to be part of a plural family, or she chooses not to be. Now, the problem is when you're choosing to be part of a plural family, you're usually young, you might not have children, you don't even know what it's like to live with that other woman.
You don't even
Or
know who
with that
you
husband.
are, and you don't even know who the people you're entering this.
Hold on. Yeah, I got you, Sarah K. I will definitely do that. Yeah, we'll do that at the end. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat.
Group relationship with are. I mean,
Who knows let's not count how many times any of us have been divorced, but anybody who's been divorced just goes, wait, I just didn't know that person, or they changed. And you when you're courting and you're dating somebody, it is absolutely best foot forward. And my family got beautifully lucky for first few years of our TV show, because we were putting our best foot forward. We were trying really hard to be a good plural family, and it was a good honeymoon experience because we worked hard to do it. But there's always the undertones. And here's the thing: when you're in a marriage, and it's good marriage, you can mess up and you'll forgive each other. You got a husband and wife just going, yeah, we love each other, so baby, I'm sorry I did that, and oh, I forgive you, and that works. The minute you divorce, or you're getting divorced, or you're looking for a reason to divorce, you forget to cover that sin with charity, and all of a sudden you want to tell everybody. And so what'll happen is, when a couple divorce, they might have looked like they had a great marriage before, but once they're divorced, they're both telling you how awful the other person was, because they're no longer willing to cover each other's mistakes with a cloak of charity. And that's kind of the world I live in right now. And so
Yeah.
it's retrospectively, there is a struggle, and a place where you're like, wow, this was an experiment. And when I talk about cult light, nobody in plural marriage who's struggling tells you to be careful here or there. I married 3 women that I courted for 4 months, 5 months or less. I knew them maybe longer than that, but as far as a courtship, one courtship was for 5 months. One courtship was for 1 month, and another courtship, I think, was for 2 months. My fourth wife, we courted for 10 months. But nobody in our church told us kind of what we were getting into. So that's why I'm thinking kind of culty thought processes, because there were tons of people who were either in the process of failing in plural marriage, or had failed in it, who were still promoting it in our church. But our church's main focus was probably plural marriage. I wish that it would have been more Christ-centered, but it really seemed to be sort of plural marriage centered and then prophet centered. We'd have these leaders, and like there was a couple of them that I don't think had anything but a spiritual disposition. They were not prophets by any means, and they were being quoted as though they were second to God. And it just
Hold on. Do you think, because this, oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. This is interesting. So, in retrospect, probably if he's referencing that one dude that one lady's I forgot her name. That one lady's dad, who he was yelling at about the spiritual releases. Like, I think he's as high as they come. So that's a subtle dig. So Kody has put some digs into Christine today. Mary today, and now the that lady's prophet dad. Okay. All right, Kody. That's really interesting.
Discrepancies.
Cody, can I ask you a question and get your take on it? You're a
RFM,
man.
you want to ask
Yes.
me a question? Come on, buddy. Ask it. I'm messing.
Oh, and I have a few more later, but you've
Go.
raised this one in my mind by what you said, which is you're a man now who has lots of experience, very little theories. And the way you're describing your situation, what I'm taking from it is that you have done what you believed in your heart was something that you were supposed to do, that you have done everything you could to make it work. It has not worked, if I can just summarize it in that way, not
Can
in
I
the way that
correct
you
you in
had
one
hoped it
spot?
would. Yeah, sure.
I'll
I haven't
correct you
quite
in
got
one
to my
spot.
question, but hopefully I'll remember it. Go ahead.
I know for a fact that I did not do all I possibly could.
Are you under an
If-
illusion that if you'd done more,
Yeah.
the
Well,
circumstances now would be different?
it's tough to say
Yeah.
because I had a recent discussion with my wife, and I said, if we wouldn't have had this breakup happen over this past 3 years, it would be starting today. That's still very cynical, but I do know that if I had done things different, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, possibly. But you know what? I don't know. And to be really honest with you, I don't know the answer because I had a goal to have the family in the pig barn. That's a joke. In the one home theory, or the cul-de-sac theory where the homes are close together. And I think that might have been part of the problem is like if I
Okay, before we go on, he said that if he could change things, he would go back 7 or 8 years. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like 7 or 8 years ago, which is interesting. That's an interesting time. He's not talking about when Robin came into the family because this was what this interview was hold on. Let me just go back. Let me check the date again. I think it was November of 2023. Him and Robin have been married for what? At this point in 2023, I think 13 years, 12 years, somewhere around there. And he wants to go back 7 or 8 years. So that means for about 4 years since Robin was in the family. Do you know where my little spidey senses are taking me? I feel like what he's talking about is he would go back the time frame in question. Where do you guys think? Before I say it, I want to know what chat has to say. Where do you think he's talking about 7 or 8 years ago? What do you think? 49ers. Hey, 49ers says the catfish situation. Okay. That's a good one. Does anyone else have any ideas? 7 or 8 years ago. Cuz I have an idea. Does anyone else have any thoughts? If I'll wait for them to come in, but let me just tell you my thoughts as they do come in. I think that oh, that's interesting. Sunstoner says having his last child. Okay, interesting. I think that 7 or 8 years ago was the retreat with Christine. When they went on their anniversary, that trip with Nancy with the rock building, when Christine was basically at her wit's end. Because I don't think I mean, honestly, Kody could give a crap less about Mary. He could give a damn. I don't think he would go back to the catfish. He wouldn't care if she left. He didn't even wanna marry her. If he could go back, he wouldn't marry her. I mean, he can't stand Mary in that way, like, as a friend, but not even as a family member. I don't see him caring about Mary. But, I think that 7 or 8 years ago, that's when, like, the final plea for Christine, that last push with the counseling, that counseling session where Christine was like, "Let's focus on us," and Kody was like, "No, we're gonna build this rock tower, and it's gonna be about the family, and it's all about the family, and yada, yada, yada." I think he's reminiscing about Christine, and that's where he would go back to. Yes, back in Vegas. Back in Vegas. But no, they haven't been away for 7 or 8 years. So, that's what I think. Let me know if you guys are watching on the replay what you think, because and whatever you guys write in, seriously, that's going to be discussed in part 2 when we go over part 2 tomorrow. So, okay. Whoops. Let's keep going.
I get it. Mark Twain once made a joke about Brigham Young and all of his wives, and he said the minute he buys one wife a brooch, he has to buy 40 of them. Or I think at that time Brigham Young was admitting to 18 wives or something. He has to buy 17 more. He's like, he can't do anything without having the jealousy roll through. And Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, was very astute. He was very wise about this idea. Brigham Young was a genius about how he managed it, but he was a tyrant and a king. Samuel Clemens saw it and went, how does this work? This has got to be impossible. So I'm sorry that I interjected that, but finish your question and get to your point.
That comment plays into the second part of my question, which is that the way you're describing it, it does seem impossible. It does seem beyond human ability to make a success out of this polygamous relationship. And I'm wondering, is that where you have come down as of this point in your life, that it is something that really is mission impossible? Or do you still think that if it were done differently or in some other way, that it could be a success?
I know minimum of 5 men right now who are still very successful at it. They're around my age, maybe a little bit younger, so there's still time for a failure. But they're doing a good job with it. Their family is still whole. They just have enough faith in the, let's say, Section 132 of the Doctrine and Covenants. They have enough belief in that their faith in God and the principle of plural marriage is sustaining them through the difficulty. That's still supposition. I don't know, but I know people who are successful at it, and I've known polygamists who are successful at it until their death. My dad's family was not necessarily happy, but my dad died with 3 wives. But he didn't start his polygamy until he was nearly my age. I
guess that there was some time ago at the beginning of the TV program, when other people would have looked at you and thought that you were a success. And you may have thought you were a success yourself at the time.
Oh, I thought I was a total success. I have a diesel jeans model coming into my family in 2010. And I thought that was the biggest validation. She had other people in our church interested in her. She had offers from other people to marry her. And she absolutely believed in plural marriage, and she absolutely believed in me. She believed in our faith, and she came into our family with great hopes that in her mind now, I don't want to speak for her because she's not here and I don't want her to have to be interviewed, but I believe that she feels like she was naive.
Okay, so the the diesel jeans thing, you know what? That is the perfect way for us to stop for the night, for us to continue part 2, because it sounds like we're going to be getting into Robin. We're going to have to tap that back. We're going to have to tap that back tomorrow. So stay tuned. We will do part 2 of the interview tomorrow night. This was fascinating. Wow. Yeah, we're going to have to do an overall comprehensive breakdown of everything once we're done, because there was some bombs dropped tonight, I got to say. Bombs dropped. So that was super interesting. Okay, so let me try to find Losing My Religion, because that is what Sarah K requested. Make sure that you guys are subscribed. And let me pull this up. Let me try to find it. That was so interesting. If you guys are just joining, go back, tap it back to the beginning, because whoa, that was really interesting. Okay, let's do it. All right, thank you guys for joining. We're going to do part 2 tomorrow. I hope that you're there. Thanks so much for joining.
to turn into a variety show, like what would be your theme song?
Losing my religion.
Oh,
That's me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight, losing my religion. I thought that I heard you love me. I thought that I heard you sing. Oh no, I said you.
no. You don't answer right now.
I hadn't said enough.